What's up, guys? I'm Joe, and today I have a concert review for you talking about Deep Purple and Judas Priest. So Deep Purple and Priest are on a co-headlining tour. You know, I've seen Priest 5 times at this point. I always like to catch them when they're around. But I was really interested in seeing Deep Purple, who I had not seen yet. Obviously a legendary hard rock band. Laid the groundwork for so many bands. Really just changed up the landscape of what, rock and metal music was becoming. And yeah, Judas Priest obviously very influenced by Purple as well. Up first was Priest. They're still on their Firepower tour pretty much. Obviously I gave that album a 5 out of 5, which, obviously I'm a very big fan of the band, probably a little biased, but I gotta say this album has stayed in rotation for me ever since it came out. And I truly think that it stands amongst some of their best records. And, for a band that's almost in their 50th anniversary to come out with an album that's being considered one of the best metal releases of the year is pretty insane. And fans seem to be enjoying the songs too, even in the live setting. They played 4 from the record the other night. I think they played 3 the first time I saw them this year. Opening up with Firepower, just a really great, aggressive opener. Halford's vocals are just insane. The first time I saw them, I think, was in 2009, when they were doing the British Steel tour, like, in its entirety. And some other tracks after. And honestly, in the last couple shows, I feel like Halford's voice has gotten even better over the last decade. Really just nailing those high-pitched screams. In Lightning Strike, he was even pushing what had been recorded previously on the album just this year. As he got into the second verse, hopefully there's a video somewhere, he's doing it on other shows, he started it in that high, Painkiller type sound, or even like All Guns Blazing from that record. And it was just so cool. He has such an energy to him. You could tell the band is just having a really good time up there. Richie Faulkner, who had filled in for KK Downing, has now been around for quite a while at this point, so he seems to have really found his place in the band. Unfortunately, Glenn Tipton does have Parkinson's, so he's not touring with the band. Andy Sneap, who produced Firepower, or co-produced Firepower, is filling in there. What was really amazing was the first time I saw them earlier this year, Glenn came out for the encore, and this was like right at the beginning of the tour, so like no one really knew that this was happening yet. And they're closing out the main set with Painkiller, which is just, again, the fact that Halford, at this point in his life, is closing the set with Painkiller and pretty much nailing it. Is pretty wild, and it's really a sight to see. I've heard that song live a couple times now, and it just never loses the impact that it has on the set, no matter how many times I've seen it. But in that first show this year, Glenn came out. During Painkiller, they had a sort of video of him during the solo section, which I thought was a really nice tribute. But then he came out and he played the whole encore, and the place went absolutely insane. And you could tell there was just a lot of love between the fans and the band. Just a lot of good vibes going around that night. That was a really special night. Glenn didn't come out for this show. I don't know if he's doing this leg of the tour. But that was just really inspiring to see at the time. And I did pick up if you could see it, the Glenn Tipton, Parkinson's Foundation t-shirt. You can get it online too. The proceeds go to charity. It says No Surrender on the back. But yeah, what's cool about this tour as well is the band is pulling out these older tunes they haven't played in a while. They played Delivering the Goods off of Hellbent for Leather. They brought Sinner back into the set, which was a staple for many years for the band, but then did disappear towards the late 80s. Now it's back. They did it the last 2 times I saw them. One of my favorite Priest tracks, and so it's great to hear that one. Turbo Lover is just a staple at this point. They always play it. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but what I can say about it is the crowd definitely loves it. There is definitely a lot of crowd participation whenever that song comes on. So I see why they play it, though it's not really a favorite of mine. It's just kind of there. A big standout for me, as someone who has seen them a bunch of times, was actually a new song, Rising from Ruins. It's my favorite on the album. It had so much power and so much energy to it. They really nailed it the other night. And of course you have your classics. You got Another Thing Coming, Breaking the Law, Living After Midnight, Metal Gods, that kind of stuff to close out the show. So overall, I will say Andy Sneap, kind of fitting in a little better than I'd say the last time. He's soloing a little more. He's taking the lead a little bit more. It seems like they are really adjusting as they go along. I'm trying to make best of the situation, But, you could tell, in Rob, in Scott Travis, in Ian, they're just having a really great time up there, which is always something you like to see. Which leads me into Deep Purple. which I didn't really know what to expect. I mean, these guys are really up there in age. I listened to a lot of their older stuff, of course. I haven't really kept up with their live sound, so I wasn't totally sure what to expect. But they came out, you know, guns blazing with Highway Star. It's some of the best sound work I think I've heard at a concert. Deep Purple, there's definitely an importance in having a balance between, especially the guitar and the organ, but also the bass. Plays a pretty good role in these songs. Everything was so very well balanced. You could hear everything perfectly. Ian Pace on the drums, absolutely killing it throughout the whole night. He was fantastic. And Ian Gillan, obviously his voice is worn. He's 73 years old. But what I did like about it is, you know, like I was saying with Priest, they just look like they're having a great time up there. They're jamming stuff out. There's good interaction between the band members and the audience. You know, definitely not phoning it in. They're coming out there and they want to put on a really good show. And I will say, I mean, they rolled through like the first 5 songs. And, you know, once they were at like 2 or 3 in, the band was on fire. They sounded great. Songs like Bloodsucker and Strange Kind of Woman just really kept things flying. They played Lazy a little bit later on with an awesome jazzy jam session that lasted quite a while. You know, the middle of the set had some later cuts from their career, like Sometimes I Feel Like Screaming and Uncommon Man. Things really just got huge with their 80s hits. They had Knocking at Your Back Door, Perfect Strangers. Knocking at Your Back Door sounded monumental. Again, to add to how good the sound quality of the band was with that thundering organ and guitar. It just sounded so huge. And of course, closing things out, it's Space Truck and Smoke on the Water, Hush in the encore. I gotta say, despite hearing Smoke on the Water probably 8 million times, like one of the most overplayed songs ever, it was really cool to just see Deep Purple play it. I didn't really expect it. I kind of thought, like, oh, they're going to play Smoke on the Water, of course, but like, that moment just really resonated. It was great to hear that live from the band that did it. You know, of course, I wanted to see them because it seems like this may be the band's last big tour or last tour. They don't really know what the future holds. I'm kind of curious, you know, with Ritchie Blackmore starting Rainbow back up again,